Yes! Woo! So you can kind of see the setup behind me. As soon as the show's over, I'm going to take it all down. I hate the way the setup is here. Just the way the computer is. The picture is actually not bad. I forgot that I usually prop my camera on a camera that I used to do some of my videos on. So my apologies for that. Please, if you don't mind, please let me know I got everything hooked up correctly. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know it sounds good. If I need to adjust something, I didn't hook speakers up because right after the live stream, I'm gonna take everything down, move it back to the correct. I'm gonna say correct location, and I notice now that like my camera's too far low, but I'll adjust that for Friday's show, because what I'll do is I'll move everything over. I'm just learning. I'm adapting. Kind of see the backdrop. I didn't put the screen up just because it's too much. Like I said, if somebody can give me a comment, let me know it sounds okay. I greatly appreciate it. So for those of you who don't know, I went ahead and did put some action down on the Super Bowl. I put Patrick Mahomes. Funk, thank you, man. Dude, how are you doing, brother? I did put some action down. I took Mahomes to win Super Bowl MVP at plus 125. And I think that's the best bet that you can make, whether you're for the Chiefs, against the Chiefs. There's only been one player in Super Bowl history, and it was a long time ago, you got DraftKings did something weird when I tried to sign in here, so I can't sign into the account. So anyway, no big deal. It was Super Bowl V. Chuck Howley, I believe, he was MVP for the Super Bowl for the Cowboys, and he lost it. Yeah, I mean, I didn't tighten the screws because I'm going to have to take them apart. But yeah, man, I'm glad you like the Spawn effect. I really like the Spawn too. I really like that. So, Patrick Mahomes, I think, is the only player that can lose the game, be on the losing team and win an MVP. And I said the same thing last couple times Mahomes been in the Super Bowl. I mean, don't get me wrong. Could McCaffrey have 175 yards and 3 touchdowns and in a loss and still win? Sure. Anything could happen, but realistically, the only person that could really win MVP and lose the game would be Patrick Mahomes. That's why I kind of like plus 125. Chiefs are still 2-point dog. The over-unders jumped up to 47.5. Some of the numbers I've been keeping tabs on, nothing's really kind of stood out. The passing numbers for Mahomes has gone up a hair. It's now 259.5. Purdy's 244.5. I'll be honest, if I was going to take the over on either one of them, I'd kind of lean towards Purdy. It wouldn't surprise me. Purdy has more passing yards than Mahomes, but I'm not really a fan of either one of these. Oh my God, look what I got here. I got the B in the Back Talk Brothers, the great one, the talent, Gooch, the man with not enough nicknames. Oh, Brock Purdy MVP. You know what? That's a good one. It's actually not a bad number. It's not bad. Actually, it is a bad number. I'm sorry. It's a plus 225. To be honest, if I was going to pick between Purdy and McCaffrey at plus 475, I really would take that instead. But there's some good MVP numbers. I thought you were talking about yardage. I'm sorry about that. Gooch, man, here in the place. I got the chair behind me. I had to put it up. So I hopefully I don't look like I'm 49. The majority of the time I don't feel like I'm 49, but after Tuesday's show, I felt like I was 49. I like tried to get up. My back was like, oh no. And yeah, I'm like, I'm going to move everything over. And I hate the cords aren't long enough. Yeah, I'm going to move everything back. Because I still have some work to do on my computer. But also my fan started making a weird noise and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So I smacked it and it was quiet. God, there's like 8 things that can get me kicked off the internet for saying something like that. But it's the Fonz used to do it. Remember the Fonz? I'm showing my age here. As far as MVP, yeah, Brock Purdy plus 225. I got Purdy and McCaffrey mixed up, but I would lean towards, if you're a 49ers fan and you like the Niners, the McCaffrey plus 475 would be the only number I would really lean towards. Everything else, the Travis Kelce numbers now 70.5. The Rashid Rice has stayed at 66.5. I would avoid both of these. The Travis Kelce under, I would recommend close to kickoff because this number is going to be around 75. As far as receiving, nothing really stands out. As far as prop bets are concerned, I'm kind of thinking Isaiah Pacheco over 17.5 rushing yards or receiving yards might be a good one. Rushing yards, we talked about this. The McCaffrey number was at 90. It's now at 89.5, and you're going to see that kind of fluctuate. Isaiah Pacheco 67.5. That's probably going to go up. It'll probably stay. It probably won't go over 70. The number one number I like on here is Deebo Samuel rushing, and it's 14.5. And I really think that Deebo Samuel, in order for this game, really has to have some rushing yards. I think 15 rushing yards for Deebo Samuel is probably the best one that I like. Lots of good numbers for sacks. Chris Jones. So Chris Jones over a quarter of a sack, meaning it's a half sacks at plus 120. I like it. Same thing with Karlaftis. I could see both those guys. Both those numbers are plus 120. One or both those guys could get a sack. Nick Bosa over is at negative 125, which makes a lot of sense. I don't know if you guys heard this. Nick Bosa said, what's something the Chiefs offensive line does well? He goes, they hold a lot. I thought that was funny and smart. And when I say smart, he's letting the refs know ahead of time, hey, these guys hold a lot. And that's a smart move. It's veteran move. If you're a Chiefs fan, you're mad at that. You shouldn't be. It's a smart move on his part. Some tackle numbers. This is kind of interesting. Greenlaw and Warner are both at 8.5. Both those are pretty solid, actually. Same with Nick Bolton. It'll be interesting. I'm not a big fan of doing tackle numbers, but these are all solid bets that you could make. That's kind of the way I see it. That's kind of the way I see it. But the only bet I've put action on right now is Patrick Mahomes to win MVP. I got that at plus 125. And I really like that. Nick saying that is just playing the game outside. You're right, Funk. You're 100% correct. I think it's genius that he said it. I know Chiefs fans are trying as hard as they can because technically the Chiefs are underdogs here, but you know, right now the Chiefs are right in the middle of the dynasty, so it's kind of fun. I don't have a problem with Nick Bosa saying that, but I mean, a lot of Chiefs fans are just trying to find any reason they can to kind of get angry. There's nothing. If you want to find a reason to get mad at the 49ers, Funk knows this as well as anybody. Try to look up somebody who does 49ers on YouTube, and those guys are insanely terrible. Funk knows this because he tried to have a conversation with some Niners fans and got put in timeout. And by the way, Funk's been a regular on my show for a very, very long time. I've never had a problem with him asking questions. Even when he disagrees with me, he's respectful. So I've always loved that about Funk. And that's the whole thing. That's what we're here for. We're here to talk football. All the coaching positions have been filled. Dan Quinn going to Washington is a little interesting. Takes over as the Niner, takes over in Washington after being at the Cowboys. And by the way, it's kind of funny. I was talking today to a Cowboys fan, and he's like, Dan, being a Cowboys fan is you know what? It's water. I have a water bottle here, and I want to put the camera on top of the water bottle, but like I kind of want to do that because I don't want water, like, you know, it's sealed. But I just realized now talking to my camera's just way too low. You can't even give AOC a compliment in 49ers chats. If they see you rep another team, they soft as yeah. The track reviewer, what's up, brother? Man, I was talking prop bets. Just started ranting about Dan Quinn. I found it a little surprising that he's taken over in Washington. And the reason why is that I really thought Washington would go with an offensive-minded head coach. I think they really wanted Ben Johnson, and Ben Johnson's like, nah, I'm going to pass. And I would love to know the reason for that. Not the public. The public is, I want to bring a Super Bowl to Detroit, but I want to know really what it was. And it might have been asking price. Could have been a variety of different things. But I have to admit, Dan Quinn to Washington's interesting. But I was talking to a Cowboys fan, and he's like, being a Cowboys fan is like the most torturous thing on earth. I'm like, I don't know, man. You want to know the Super Bowls? He's like, Dan, listen, I'm 32. I never saw any of the Super Bowls. In my lifetime, I've never seen the Cowboys win a Super Bowl, but every year we're picked to win a Super Bowl or to go to a Super Bowl. I live here in Dallas. Everybody thinks we're going to Super Bowl every single year, and it never happens. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of funny depending on how old you are, because I was around for that whole – I watched, that whole Cowboys dynasty, and it's kind of funny because – yeah. If you're 32 and you never got to see a Cowboys win a Super Bowl, it's difficult. And depending on what team you are, you always have a different perspective of things, and it's kind of funny, if you talk to somebody who's an old time Lions fan, they can tell you about Barry Sanders and Herman Moore and those guys. Talk to a newer crowd, they'll talk about Megatron and Stafford, and then what they're building right now is really, really fun in Detroit. But both coordinators are staying. There was talk about both coordinators leaving. Dan Quinn taking over at Washington is very interesting, though. So Keys hit me up about the Cincinnati Bengals. I'll rant about that here in a bit. Well, and Ben, I don't think it has to do with money. Some reporter put out that Ben wanted $15 million. Ben's agent said Ben has never said anything about how much he wants to be at head court. So that's interesting because that's what Harbaugh's getting, and it wouldn't surprise me if Ben Johnson asked for that. By the way, even if Ben Johnson asked for that, his agent's supposed to say it's not about the money. But when you hear the phrase, it's not about the money, it's usually about the money. And a guy like Harbaugh asking for $15 million makes a lot of sense because he was making close to that at Michigan. So you meet Thurman Thomas. It's actually funny. Mike Gundy, who's the head coach, been there for over 20 years. He was the quarterback for Barry Sanders, I think, and for Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders. He's still the head coach there. By the way, you want to do something fun? Look up Google or go on YouTube. Mike Gundy, I'm a man, or Mike Gundy, I'm a man. I'm 40. That's still one of my all-time favorite rants. Love Mike Gundy. Don't get me wrong. I don't see Oklahoma State winning a national championship anytime soon, but they're always a team that's going to win like 8 to 10 games. They're just not going to win a national championship. I would love it if Oklahoma State won a national championship. I love Mike Gundy. But Keys hit me up. And by the way, my social media links are below. I'm on Instagram and Twitter. I'm still fighting with Facebook. They count my videos as a violation, and it's not, but they say it is. So you know what? I'm gonna do it right now. I don't like doing this. It's just that there we go. I like that a lot better. All right. Yeah. Sorry about. Yeah. Isn't that better? Yeah. So Keys hit me up about, hey, do you like what Brian Callahan, the coaching staff, he's bringing? And I was like, if you get a chance, can you come on? Can you ask that question? Because I kind of want to talk about this because it's a big misconception in circles where you think that the head coach always brings in the coaches, and that's not always true. You can go back. It goes back. Probably the most famous example is the '85 Bears. Buddy Ryan was the defensive coordinator. He thought he should have been the head coach. They brought in Mike Ditka, but Ditka's like, hey, you can be the head coach of the Bears, but Buddy Ryan's going to be your defensive coordinator. These two didn't like each other. These two didn't get along. These two really didn't work together. And the Bears organization knew this, and Bears like, just shut the fuck up. And look, how many of you have had a coworker you didn't like? How many of you worked with somebody who was just a douchebag? I worked with several douchebags in my life. That's actually funny. Some of the people I didn't get along with ended up getting along with, and sometimes you have like a bad first impression and you end up being friends. But there's a lot of coaches that work together just really don't like each other. There's a lot of coaches that don't like players, players that don't like each other, but they play well together. It's kind of funny because it's a game, but it's also a job, and a lot of people don't realize that. But when it comes to hiring coaches, the head coach doesn't always get to hire the coordinators, and a lot of these young coordinators like Brian Callahan and Mike McDonald in Seattle, for example, I was just reading before I came on that he's going to bring in Leslie Frazier as a head coach assistant / I don't know if he's going to be called the defensive coordinator. Probably should. I don't know if that's Mike McDonald or if that's John Schneider. I would bet that's John Schneider bringing in a veteran coach. And so if things go sideways, that's the guy who's going to say, hey, let me come in. Then we go to Detroit. When Dan Campbell's hired, did he pick Anthony Lynn, or did management say, look, this is going to be your offensive coordinator, deal with it? And if you're a head coach, you can't be public and say, I never wanted this guy in the first place. Andy Reid, when he came to Kansas City, he got to pick the coaches. Mike McCarthy, when he took over in Dallas, part of the deal was that he could pick his coaching staff. And then remember, the defense was one of the worst defenses. They brought in Dan Quinn. I don't know if that was McCarthy who gave the final okay on Dan Quinn or Jerry Jones, but a lot of people feel like when you're a head coach, you get to do all the hiring and firing. That's just not the case. When you're established, you can do that. And by the way, like, if you're not aware of these head coaching interviews, like, they do multiple interviews, a lot of these last 8 to 10 hours. And a lot of it's deciding, okay, well, you can have this coach, but I got to pick this coach. Or it's, hey, can your general manager pick somebody, or do you have to pick somebody? I think Ben's going to be real selective of the place he goes. Like he wants the same kind of vibe the new leadership in Detroit has. Everyone is on the front. Everyone in the front here is on the same page. And that is very important. It's very important that the head coach and general manager get along. I'll be honest with you, when I heard that he wanted too much money, that made a lot of sense. And I'm going to go with Axum's razor. If it sounds like it's the right answer, it's probably the right answer. It wouldn't surprise me if people were like, "You want 15 million? You've never been a head coach before?" No. He and also, you know, I would not be surprised if Ben Johnson didn't want to go to Washington. I'm convinced they're going to go with Caleb Williams. And that's another thing. When Dan Quinn took over in Atlanta, I'd have to double check because I can't remember if it was him or no, actually it wasn't. A correction. It was I believe it was Mike Smith, I think, drafted Matt Ryan, but they had a really young quarterback. And by the way, Matt Ryan, that's an interesting guy because he's one of those borderline Hall of Famers. And I always believe that if you have a question if somebody belongs in the Hall of Fame or not, then the answer is no. But Matt Ryan's one of those guys that like probably won't go into Canton, but God, he was such a good quarterback. Anyway, sorry about that rant here. Dan Campbell called Lynn. Lynn was going to take the season off. Dan talked him into coming to Detroit. Dan letting him go. Year one showed some real leadership to me. That's a possibility that happened. I think if you're Dan Campbell, you might have to say that too. I don't know the relationship he has with Anthony Lynn or with Ben Johnson, but to sit here and say that Dan Campbell hired every single coach and the general manager didn't have any say, I don't know. I buy that. Then the reason why is Dan Campbell wasn't the guy. Anthony Lynn said it. Okay. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. But what my point is that a lot of times a coach is hired and it's not the head coach who does the hiring. So when Key's like, wait, we think Brian Callahan's doing because he brought in his dad. I'm pretty sure that he part of the deal is bringing his dad, which is interesting because his dad's a well-respected offensive line coach. And they were together in Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's 5 starters stayed healthy, but the offensive line wasn't any good. But Bill Callahan's one of the most respected names as an offensive line coach. One pride's not here, but he's bringing in I already forgot the guy's name, but I remember he played corner at Michigan State. One pride's big Michigan State guy, but Washington has new ownership. We don't know how involved they will be exactly. And I think that has part to do with it. But it behind the scenes, if you're telling me that Ben Johnson asked for $15 million and Washington said, no, we'll go in another direction, that makes sense. It also makes sense that Washington came in and they're like, okay, look, here's the drill. We've been scouting because there's no general manager in Washington, to the best of my knowledge. Like, hey, look, we're gonna go with Caleb Williams. We're gonna do everything we can to go from 1 to 2, and we're gonna draft Caleb Williams. And Ben Johnson, it would not surprise me at all. Ben Johnson's like that. That's not the guy that would work in this offense because, like everything I've seen from Detroit, it seems like you need a guy to just go back there and ding, 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 and I still haven't watched some Draymond. Out of all the quarterbacks in the draft, to be honest, the one I'd feel most comfortable doing that, and I'm not a fan of his at all, would be Spencer Rattler, who I've heard everything from. Remember, people were talking about him in Oklahoma being like #1 pick overall. He didn't play bad in South Carolina. We didn't play great. I'm hearing everything from 2nd to 6th, and he's a guy that may be rising up draft board, Spencer Rattler, but he won't go in round one. But of all the quarterbacks coming out, like if you had to say, give me a guy that could maybe step into the right spot, who's a late round pick, I'd look at Spencer Rattler and I'd be like, you know what? Put him in an offense like Miami has. The Miami Dolphins put Spencer Rattler in an offense like the Miami Dolphins run, and could he do like what Tua's asking? Why I don't believe the $15 million rumor is real is because it was said back in the beginning in October. So here's what I heard on the NFL. It was either ESPN or the NFL Network, and I don't hold either one of these as a be all end all. Was that teams balked at the asking price, and Harbaugh got 15. It makes sense, Washington, but Atlanta, like that's a hard job to, because like it sounds like Atlanta talked to Bill Belichick and that looked like it was going to happen. And when it didn't happen, it sounded like they wanted to go with somebody like Ben Johnson. And I have a hard time believing that what the weapons Atlanta has there, and they pick 8th in the draft and they have an extra 3rd. I have a real hard time believing that that's a job that he just like, no. Because out of all the head coaching jobs, I thought Atlanta was easily the most appealing. Easily. So Slasher, what's up? Slasher says, what's up, Dan? Draft is looking like it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a great draft. I can't wait to do some mock drafts. I moved into this apartment. I got to move back out. I'm sorry. I might miss. I'm gonna talk about the draft here in a bit. Funk says teams that no, Ben did. Ben Johnson. So what happened? Here's the story with Atlanta. They looked like they were going to focus in on Bill Belichick, and then things just fell apart. So Atlanta, like Ben Johnson here, and Ben Johnson said no to the Atlanta job. Like that. That's pretty much across the board. Everybody kind of agrees that. And then I think what happened is Atlanta Atlanta interviewed everybody, but I think that just they couldn't get along with Bill Belichick, and I think Bill Belichick just wanted too much control. I'm speculating. Okay. Ben Johnson could have wanted the Atlanta deal. And the thing is, he may have asked for 15 and Arthur Blankman said, no, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, okay, screw you. If I drink a full water, I'll put the empty. I don't like, so my camera is propped up by a water bottle, but it looks a lot better like this. And I should have done that before. So ESPN's been to Let's Screen. You know what? I watch NFL Live on ESPN, but I don't, it's more of an entertainment, and I love PTI. But I love Tony Kornheiser and Michael Obon. I've been watching that show as long as I can remember. I mean, I think it came on like 30 years ago, and I love watching it, but it's not an end all. Keep in mind, when they talk about baseball, I usually fast forward. When I watch PTI, I usually watch it for like 8 minutes. That's usually all I watch. And when it's not football season, I usually don't watch it. But I some of the stuff there that's interesting. And the reason why I watch it is that Tony Kornheiser came up like doing basketball. Like he would be at like the gym like 4 or 5 in the morning covering practices and stuff like that. I respect guys that work hard. I don't watch Colin Cowherd. I respect Colin Cowherd. Don't get me wrong. I wish I had a fraction of his numbers, but I don't. I use more entertainment. I respect the Stephen A. Stephen A. like talk about how he came up. Like his story is amazing. Like where he's at today, it's amazing. Shannon Sharp, great to listen to. I just, I'm not. For your football knowledge, I'd rather you just come here, talk to me. I got work on getting bigger. The whole move thing's been hard on the channel. I lost some subscribers during the move. I wonder if they're Ravens fans though. Oh God, yes. Oh, dude, Sterling Sharp was awesome. Whoever dressed Sterling Sharp, Sterling Sharp was awesome. He was great to listen to. He was the sharpest dressed dude on TV. I love Sterling Sharp. Dude, you're right. Hopefully, Funk, you accept this one. Accept this one. Yeah, so this draft's going to be awesome, and here's why. Arizona at 4 doesn't need a quarterback. Chargers at 5 don't need a quarterback. And then you got teams in Tennessee at 7, they don't need a quarterback. But Atlanta at 8, New York at 6, Chicago at 1 and 9 probably isn't going to take a quarterback. And and the Jets at 10, you really don't know what the Jets are thinking. But Minnesota at 11 could take a quarterback. Denver at 12 could take a quarterback. Raiders at 13 could take a quarterback. Saints at 14 could take a quarterback. I mean, this is going to be no, you're good. I was fucking with you a little bit, but you're all good. Yeah, I get it, Funk. There's going to be a lot of trades in the first 10 picks. And I think Chicago and Washington are going to flip picks very soon. When I say soon, yeah, 100% Miami could take a quarterback. By the way, there was a Dolphins fan I had on. He went live today. I was driving. I wasn't able to tune in. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I tune in, listen to Key's show. And then when I'm parked, I comments. Actually, he let me jump on live once in my car, which was really cool of him. But Pete of Pete Stakes, Dolphins fans, he's one of the few Dolphins fans like, dude, we should move on from Tua. Dolphins at 21 could take a quarterback. The Rams, I saw a mock draft. The Rams at 19 took Bo Nix, and I was like, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. But I mean, there's going to be a lot of trades in the first round. I'm going to tell you this right now. I really do. When I do my first mock draft, I'll probably just put Washington at 1 and Chicago at 2 because I really think that's going to happen. But you have New England at 3. Who knows what New England's going to do? And then Arizona at 4. I mean, what do they do? I mean, keep in mind they also pick at 27. Arizona's got like 84 draft picks. I'm exaggerating, but by the way, I don't have it now, but probably about a month before the draft, I'll have the draft order memorized. I'll have 1 through 32 memorized. That's usually how it goes. And usually what I do is I'm in my car and I just kind of go over my mock draft in my head. And then I kind of tweak it a little bit as I go on. And I will be live for the draft. So, but oh God, there's so many fun things that are going to happen in this draft. I mean, there's just, like I said, just look through picks 1 through 9. Okay. 1 and 9, no quarterback with Chicago. Of course they could, you never know. Arizona at 4 is not taking a quarterback. Chargers at 5 are not taking a quarterback. Tennessee at 7 is not taking a quarterback. So which one of these teams wants to trade up? Let me ask you this here. Let's say you flip-flop and you're the Bears at 2. Number 9 comes around and Atlanta doesn't take a quarterback, or they take a quarterback. I have a hard time seeing Atlanta not take a quarterback, but weirder things have happened. Is there a team like the Raiders or Denver that could trade with Chicago? Could Chicago trade down twice in this draft? Absolutely. So Slasher, by the way, it was funny. I was talking to a Cowboys fan today, and he hated Kellen Moore, and I was really kind of floored by that. But I had a really great conversation with a Cowboys fan earlier today. We were talking about something completely unrelated, and I'm like, well, I got a YouTube channel, and I bring that up to everybody, like, please hit subscribe. And he's like, well, I'm here in Dallas, I'm a Cowboys fan. I was like, man, it's funny, I know a guy who's an Eagles fan. And it's funny, he goes, well, I'm cheering for the Chiefs because the two teams I hate the most are the Eagles and the Niners. And I said, I'll make sure I tell him that. And anyway, he hates Kellen Moore. I actually told him, I said, I thought Kellen Moore, I like Kellen Moore, but I love Fangio. Fangio as your new defensive coordinator, I think is just going to fit like a hand in a glove. But Philly's team this offseason, I'm going to be kind of eyeballing because I'm not really sure what they're going to do or who they're going to lose. But Fangio, one thing about Fangio is he wants to play man defense. And when you have Bradbury and you have Slay, and I think Maddox is a fine slot corner, but do you need a dude? Do you need a guy? I'm looking at the draft. I'm looking at 22. Philly picks it. I haven't even looked at Philly's draft yet, to be honest with you. I'm looking at 22. I might be thinking corner, to be honest with you. Let's see here. 22, 50, and 54. That's right. The Saints trade, so they pick 50 and 54. But 22, I may sound a little crazy, but Bradbury could leave in free agency. Slay's coming off an injury. He's on the wrong side of 30. I know it's not a Philly thing to do, but Nolan Smith's going to be a really good player for you. I mean, I know he barely played this year, but that's a dude. It would not surprise me as anywhere between 10 and 15 sacks next year. I love Nolan Smith. He should have gone much higher than 30. Great draft, but he barely played this year. But yeah. And Trek. All right, sorry. This is why you don't prop up cameras on water bottles. So sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah. This is what happens when you move to studio and you do it yourself. So sometimes accents happen. So sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. I'll try to do better next time. You can see the backdrop of the apartment. It's actually pretty sweet. Miami absolutely could take a quarterback. Taking a look at their draft capital. Remember last year due to the tampering, they had to forfeit their first round pick. They don't have a pick in rounds 3 or 4, but they've been comfortable. That was how the Rams won the Super Bowl, is they just kept on trading draft picks for players. And unfortunately, things ran out, and then they had to draft like 15 players and had a great draft. But Miami doesn't have a problem. Seriously, it wouldn't surprise me if Miami's a team that trades up. A guy like Bo Nix could slide. I had a Steelers fan tell me the guy he wants is Michael Penix, and I was like, I'm surprised you're not sold. 40 minutes into the show for Spring Freeze. Number 8, University of Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett. And I was like, I'm surprised. And I was like, what about Mason Rudolph? And he's like, I always liked Rudolph, just like I did. And I was like, so what's the deal? And he's like, well, Ben Roethlisberger didn't like him. And I was like, that's weird. I mean, I hadn't been there the last couple of years and still didn't want him. But yeah, It's going to it's by the way, yeah, Slasher. It's going to be a great draft. I can't wait. I can't wait to watch it. So I'm also looking up here, and I can't emphasize this enough here, guys. There's you could do so many prop bets. Vegas literally makes billions of dollars off the Super Bowl. And it's because so many people make bad bets. I made it. DraftKings gave me a free bet. I took a weenie bet on Kelsey over yardage. I did an alternate that I just wanted, and then I bet all of that on Mahomes win MVP. There is a possibility I might put some other action down on the Super Bowl, but I'm not leaning towards it. But I mean, some of these bets are just designed for suckers. I'm looking at DraftKings specifically, and a lot of these sound really, really great. Like, for example, Brandon Ayuk, I have a 50+ yard receptions at plus 700, and I get it. I get it. It's appealing, and if it happens and you hit it, it's going to sound great. But I always tell people the worst thing that happened to you. I used to be a blackjack dealer, and I used to say this all the time: the worst thing that happened to you at a casino is the win, because then you think you do it every time. So I mean, some of these numbers I wouldn't really recommend. I'm kind of leaning towards, and me and Keys will kind of disagree on this, because I think Kittle's a much more valuable part of this offense. Kittle 46.5 receiving yards. I might go to over on that. I also like the Isaiah Pacheco over 17.5. Noah Gray over 11.5. I like, because I like Noah Gray. But probably the best bet I would look at is the Travis Kelce under, because this number's just going up. It's right now 70.5, and it's just going to keep hitting. So I would really, really, really kind of keep an eye out on that one. Because you could do like an alternative number, like Travis Kelce over 110, you could get plus 400. I give kudos to DraftKings, by the way, for all the available prop bets that they have. But these are designed to make them money, not for you. I feel pretty good in my Patrick Mahomes to win MVP at plus 125, because I don't see a way the Chiefs win this game without Mahomes winning MVP. I just don't. And I do like Kansas City in this game, but it's completely different than it was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, Kansas City easily had a better team. Last year, I felt Philly had a better team than Kansas City. I just had more faith in Mahomes than I did in Jalen Hurts, and it turns out to be that Jalen Hurts could have easily been MVP of that game. Jalen Hurts had a much better game. It's kind of funny, because I thought, I said the same thing last year. I said Mahomes could lose the game against the Eagles and still win MVP. I can make that strong case with Jalen Hurts, who had one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time. Probably not. There, you know what? I'd bet money there's not 3 performances by an opposing quarterback better in a loss in a Super Bowl than Jalen Hurts. Super Bowl 13, Roger Staubach probably is probably number 1. Hurts could be 2. You can flip those if you want. I don't know what Jim Kelly. I don't think Jim Kelly had a good Super Bowl. I know Thurman Thomas had a great Super Bowl in 2025 in a losing effort. I was looking up Otis Anderson. There's 6 running backs that got over 10,000 yards that are not in the Hall of Fame. Otis Anderson's one of them, and it's kind of funny because he was one of the greatest running backs who ever lived, and he won a Super Bowl MVP, and he had over 10,000 yards rushing. Probably not making the Hall of Fame. I know I'm all over the place, so. Guys, look, this is I don't have too much to say. My big news I have is I'm keeping track of the numbers for the prop bets, more for entertainment. I don't see anything really appealing. I'm leaning towards a Deebo Samuel over on the rushing yards, but keep in mind a lot of these prop bets are designed for them to make money, not for you to make money. I like my Mahomes to win the MVP at plus 125. I think that is easily the smartest bet that you can make because I really do. I think he's the only player that could win on both sides of the ball. Dan Quinn going to Washington. I'm still floored by that. I think he's bringing the Cowboys passing coordinator with him, if I remember right. Due to the move, I really wanted to be more on top of coaching hires and non-hires. The one thing I wanted to rant about is that a lot of people think the coaches make all the decisions when it comes to the assistants, and it's just not true. A lot of times when you're a young coach, and if you're a first-time head coach, management makes these decisions for you, and they just tell you, hey, just get along. Just do your job. Stealing that from Bill Belichick. And I also think that a lot of the coaching hires were made because the coaches, went in there and they said, hey, I'll work with you. I just want the job. I'll do whatever you say. You want to pick the defensive coordinator? Great. But usually what happens is if you pick your own guy and it doesn't work, then you usually get the power to fire him and bring in your own guy. Sometimes if you bring in your own guy, like the case with Dan Quinn in Dallas, I think that was more management than Mike McCarthy. I don't care what's public. In my opinion, I really, really, really believe that what happened was Dan Quinn, great. And by the way, it worked out really well. And now he's head coach in Washington, which is I'm actually kind of excited about, like, that first Washington-Dallas game. Probably going to be a primetime game. I think it's going to be a great primetime game. Guys, seriously, I'm really sorry. I don't have much more. I was just going to have this be kind of an open forum Q&A. That was pretty much all I had. I'm really jacked up for the Super Bowl. As you can see, I got my Chiefs gear on. This is going to be a classic. It's the 49ers have the better team. Mahomes and the Chiefs have the better coach quarterback combo. It's going to be a great game. I'm keeping track of prop bets. Any prop bets that you have, any bets that you're making, please, 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 please let me know. Please let me know because I like I said, I got my Mahomes plus 125 to win MVP, but that's I might do one other one. We'll have to see. More than likely, I'll probably just stick with that, but we'll see what happens. But nothing else, guys. I'm just going to end it quick. Once things get kind of back to normal, Luke G has said that he'll come on. He's like, Dan, when you're all eat up, don't bother me. But when you get your shit together, I'll be there. Keys is also going to come back on here in the near future. His schedule's a little strange for the next couple of weeks. His channel, which the Talent Gooch is a part of, is if you're a Chiefs fan, it's pretty good stuff. It's geared towards the Chiefs. It's my channel. I won't talk football. I wish I had like a fan from like all 32 teams, coming in here. But I'm still working on growing. I mean, hey, look, moving around and I don't have a lot to go over today, but yeah, Funk, you're right. It's going to be a great game. And I know you want the Chiefs to win. By the way, your Raiders made an interesting hire, Cliff Kingsbury as offensive coordinator. I didn't have the chance to really go into detail with a lot of the coordinators, but I do want to touch base. I do like the Kingsbury hire. And like I said, I think that was more management than Antonio Pierce, but Antonio Pierce will take the credit and he'll take the blame. It doesn't work either. The Raiders are an interesting pick because at 13, they may not be able to get the quarterback they want. Do they trade up? There's so many teams. By the way, I am just kind of started the mock drafts. I just kind of started. I didn't really. I haven't done any. I've toyed around with a few of the free mock draft tools, and I'm going to try and do a video breaking all of them down because some of them I like, some of them I don't like. There's one place, I'm not even going to say who it is. They used to have a fantastic free draft tool, and they changed everything to you have to pay. I think it's like $2.95 a month just to use the draft tool and access their site. And it's not that good, especially when there's available free ones. And if you've been following me for a while, you know I hate PFF with a passion. I will not use their tool. It may be really good. I probably won't use it. Yeah, I may give it a shot. You never know. But there's 3 or 4 I've seen that are pretty good. I've seen some interesting I've seen some bad mock drafts, like comically bad mock drafts. One guy I've been following for a while. He got hired by a company he's working with, and then he released it as part of his part of the company. I'm not going to say who it is because it's just comically bad. Like the guy did not do a lot of research at all. But on my mock drafts after the combine, and I'm just going to end it, and I'm just going to have a short show tonight. I don't have too much to go over, but I do want to let you know that as I'm getting everything moved around, I'll try to get everything back to normal here in the next couple of weeks. I'm just experimenting with this. The way the computer's set up is not good, but I like this a lot better than the couch, and the chair's much, much more comfortable. I'll have a lot more detailed outline. This was just kind of an open forum Q&A, a Super Bowl preview. Kind of gone over that in detail in the last show, but if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm just going to end it on a short one tonight. Guys, I will be back Tuesday. I'm not going to do the Super Bowl live, but I'll be back Tuesday. May or may not have a guest. We'll have to wait and see, but I look forward to seeing you back on Tuesday.